So here we go on this little shtickle Torah. This is the Zohar for the morning of Erev Shabbos, Parshas Vayeshev. So we're down here here we go. We're actually reading the Zohar itself, and then let's see what the Zohar means to say. As you know, but listening to the Zohar is highly metaphoric. It's extremely poetic, in many different ways. So in order to try to describe God and our relationship to him, it's a deep metaphor. If you have a feeling for poetry, you'll see it over here. It's a Vehi Achad Devarim Ha'elu. So after these things, Hado Mashke Melech Mitzrayim. So the wine pourer for the king of Egypt, he sinned. Now, what does this have to do? I don't know. Rabbi Yehuda Pasuk, Rabbi Yehuda began, and he said like this: Hayished Aryeh B'Yar V'teref Eila. He says, when the lion roars in the jungle, is it possible that he's not going to have prey? Then he says, Kafir, which is a young lion. Kolim and also Bilti im Lokad is a question. He says, a young lion, his voice, sound, I guess it's roar, when he's in his lair because he's young. Bilti im Lokad, does he roar if he has nothing trapped? There's nothing to eat. Hayishag Aryeh Biyar. So now the Zohar says like this. Now this interesting metaphor. I'm sorry that I didn't get this page right. So he says we were talking about. At least you heard my words, and here they are written in Hebrew. Hayishag Aryeh Kiyar Biyar. So is it that the lion is roaring in the jungle? Talchazi. Kama is lon lebnei nosha. How important it is for mankind to get involved with the work of Kudsha Baruch. The called man de ishtad ba'raisa, because any man, all men, any man that spends his time learning Torah, makes a time for learning Torah, and that is the avodah of that is necessary, that of the Kudsha Baruch. The chalte ve'maseh hu al kula, his fear, the awe about others, everybody sees this. The Hakad Bara Kutra Berichu Alma, because when the Kodesh Baruch Hu created the world, Avad called Brian the Alma called Chad Chad Bikdiyukna de. So let's go over the words. He says Kad Bara Kutra Berichu Alma, when the Kodesh Baruch Hu created the world. Avad, he made, Kal Brian, all the creatures that he created, the Alma Kol Chad Chad Bikdiyukna, with a certain image or a form that fit that particular breed or animal, or what's right word there. Well, the Vaza Baralay the Barnash the law, and then after that he created mankind. And that image that he provided, that the mold that was made for that, came from an upper mold. Vishalte al kulhu b'diyuk nador, and there is a result of the fact that he has the upper image. Therefore, that appearance, I'm trying to get the right word for diyukna, but really means like a mold or a template, something like that. The shalta al kula b'diyukna do. So with this template, there's a result of the fact that I guess it's a foundation. He's at a much higher level. He said the kol zimda the bar nash koin ba'alma, because as long as mankind lives on this world, kol inin birian the alma zakvin rashing. When he goes through, all the animals in the world lift up their heads. And they look then at this human being, because he has within him, let's use the word form, the upper form, the barnash. So then all of them are afraid. They're all trepidation and they're running away from him. You say like this: the fear of you, the trepidation from you, will be on the face of all the animals of the world, etc. So he says like Vahani Mili Kad Mistaklim V'Hamon Be Hai Diukna V'Nishma. This is really always because interior to the man is this form, the power to form, and that comes from a much higher place. Amar Rebbe Elazar. Rebbe Elazar says like this: Afal Gab the Nishmas of Love Bay, Sedikaya Lo Mishtanyan Mekamed the Haba the Yuk Lehon Bekad Misan. I'm not sure what this means. I'll translate the way that I hear it. Afal Gav, the Nishmasa Lavbe, that the person, I don't know, everybody has a neshama, but the neshama is not there within it. Tzedikaya lo mishtanyan, the tzeddikim no, don't change. Nikamada Hava, from the original way that they were to Yuktukum the Kadmisa, that is with the pure image of Hashem, of the higher world. Let's see how the Matuk translates it, and try to do the best I can with that, and so we'll see the Matuk Midrash. So Vihi Achar Devarim Ha'eva. Kadei Lefarish Pasuk Zeh. In order to explain this pasuk, Hikdim Lefarish Mashuk Pasuk, and he takes this pasuk. Let's read it. Yishak Arye Biyar V'Tereth Ein Lo. So he says once the lion gets into the forest, it starts roaring. Everybody gets terrified. Hayitin kafir kolo memonozach ability lokot. So would it be that the young lion in his lair will roar if he has nothing to eat? Now, what does he mean? He says, and then he wants to go into this. Bavare ad kama yesh techan b'nei adam l'hashkiach. Boy, I'm really not doing a good job here. I'm sorry. Let's start over again. He said, Bavare, this is the really important part. Bavare ad kama yesh techan b'nei adam l'hashkiach with the hishtadol b'chavovodis HaKadosh Baruch Hu, with the work of Kadosh Baruch Hu. How important it is to work on avodas Hashem. Then we're going over here. Shkal me she'oisik b'torah v'chavodas HaKadosh Baruch Hu pachto ve'maso mutelas al kol habrios, because anyone who works on the Torah, the avodas HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the fear, the trepidation of this person, and the fear of him is be placed on all creation. Because when the Kodesh Baruch Hu created the world, also call habrios sheba'olam kol achad v'achad b'tzurasa karavilo. So he made each. Let's say where the word sarasa, let's say, means it's an image. Call habrios sheba'olam kol achad v'achad b'tzurasa karavilo, with the image of Hashem as fitting a particular species. Bara as Adam, and then after that he created man. B'tzura el yoda dahainu, b'tzelem Elokim. He made us with the image of this God. B'tzelem the most tavnes nishmaso, and then the tzelem of the form of his neshama. Nechtames b'fanav b'panav. Hagashmios mamish. Now let's see what it says. B'tzelem the most tavnis. Tavnis. I'm not sure what tavnis means here. That's a problem. B'tzelem the most tavnis nishmasa. I guess the construction of his soul. Nechtemes is sealed b'fonav, on his face. Hagashmios mamish. In other words, you could see the origin, the godliness in the face of the man. And therefore, as a result of this fact that he has this image, he has shalita all over all creations. She calls the mancha Adam Chai B'Kayim Ba'olam, because as long as a man is living in this world, because the creatures of the world, the species, the animal life of the world, when they look up, they lifted up their heads, and then they're able, in other words, you're there, and they lift up to look at you. And what they're looking at is really the form of the Ein Sof Baruch Hu. He used the word Elokem, which is interesting. Elokem means the God of judgment. So is exactly what the Mistaklim B'tzura Yona Shel Adam. Az Kulim Yereim B'Zayim B'Fanav. Then all of them become terribly frightened and run away from his face. They do what they can. Pirish. So he says, Kama Da'at Amar, and he says this friend, Yihya al Kol Chayas Haaretz V'al Kol Ova Shemayim, that is your Pachtachem, Meracha. He says, Now, so Masai Hadavarim Amurim, when are these really stated? Keshemistaklim Bo, Rom Love Osa Tzura Kedusha, because when you look at him, you see upon him that surah of Elokim, the Kedusha. V'od Bo Nishmaso, and not only that, inside of him, his neshama, behind the Kishe'enu Yashin, that is when a person is awake. Kishayashin Nishmasa Nistalakas Mimana, so he wants to put that in the side when a person sleeps. His neshama goes up. Afal Pisha Nishmasa Ene Bakirbo, even though, and he writes, even though the neshama is not within him, behind the Yasha, Im Kol Zecha B'Lo Sar Mimano Atzalam Elokim, but the Tzalam Elokim remains. So I would have said, maybe I would have said that there's a Rishimo left over, but he wants to say this, he wants to point out the part about the Tzalam Elokim. So he says, tzaddikim ein surasam mishtanim b'shinasam. So when they're sleeping, the tzaddikim, their form never changes. Mekamosha kol mikodem kishnismasam bekirbo, because there's always an element of that surah of Elokim that is still on them. This is Baruch Fleischman. That's our little bit of Zohar here today for the morning. Erev Shabbos. This is the Yesod of the week of Parshat Vayeshev.